Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of the 18th mile, week 3 recap, summary, wins and losses, and then looking at week 4. Similar to the previous recap things, I'll just kind of go over how my week went in terms of what I was doing well, what happened during the week in terms of training, what I feel I need to improve on, and then again, just general stats in terms of my fitness from Garmin, you know? But let's get started. Again, let's look at just what the week looked like. Day 1, Monday, 3 miles, easy run and push. Day 2 was a 6 miles, easy run and pull. And day 3 was intervals this week with, as every other week, I guess, with mobility and a walk. Day 4 on Thursday was 3 miles, easy and legs. Day 5, Friday. This week was a little bit different with a 6 miles easy run. And then we had a rest day on Saturday. And today, Sunday, January 21st, was supposed to be a 12-mile run. But after Dricus du Plessis won the UFC middleweight category, I had to do a half marathon in honor. And I don't know, just had to suffer as well. He suffered in the fight. So shout out to Dricus du Plessis, carrying that South African legacy. But let's move on to just going through the days. Day 1 and 2, 3 miles and 6 miles went very easy. No real issues. No real concerns from my side. Legs were feeling good. Workouts went well. And yeah, and then intervals. Like I mentioned last week, I was a little bit scared this week since we had a couple 800s thrown into the mix this week. But intervals, just as a recap, was a 2-mile warm-up, 3 400s, 3 800s, 1 400, 2-mile cool-down. But it went very well. Feels like I got used to the pace more in terms of what they expect in the intervals. And so I was able to hit that a lot easier than the previous weeks. But also, I got less tired running at that pace. And so it's a good sign, especially with tempo runs starting in week 6. So we have some time for that, but you kind of stress that if you're able to maintain that pace. So seeing that I'm able to maintain during intervals, it's a good sign that once tempo runs comes, I'll be able to hit that as well. Day 4 was 3 miles and leg day, but this is probably my worst day of training, just because work was busy this week, so I was only able to hit legs at like 8 p.m. on Thursday, and so I was tired. Probably not my greatest workout, honestly. At least it didn't feel that way. But I was able to hit both the run and the lift, so I'm very happy about that. Friday was a 6-mile easy run, which is different from the previous few weeks of just 4 miles. But, went very smoothly, had no issues, didn't feel too tired. Legs were a little bit tired from the previous day's leg day, but honestly, in general, very good day. And then just a walk and mobility session later that evening to loosen the legs up. Saturday was a recovery walk in the morning, as always, with a little coffee. And then I hit some jiu-jitsu in the early afternoon, and then did some mobility work later in that day as well for my other workout, the knee stuff. Day 7, which is today on Sunday, was a half marathon or 13.1 mile run. Went very well. It had an average pace of 8:44, 8:45 around there. And I will be doing a recovery walk later today with a mobility session. So hoping to get all the aches and pains away by the end of the day and hit week 4 fresh and able to hit my workouts properly. So, but again, let's look at the nutrition as the other side of training. But again, this week, hit the macro goals every day: protein, carbs, and fats. I think this week I was able to hit my carbs a lot easier than the previous few weeks. I think I'm kind of figuring out what to eat and figuring out that I have to eat my carbs early in the day instead of later in the day that I've been doing the past few weeks. So very excited to see that, or more relieved, so that way I don't have to eat toast and oats at 10 p.m. when I'm not really that hungry. So I've been able to hit those carbs better this week, which is or more comfortably. Protein and fat has always been easy for me since, I enjoy eating food with those that are high in those anyway, like eggs, steak, salmon. I eat a lot of chicken and mincemeat or ground beef. So those aren't really that hard for me to hit. But it's really the carbs thing, and I think it's getting there. It's getting better. It's getting a little bit easier. Next up is sleep. Sleep this week is probably not my best week of sleep. Average duration, according to Garmin, was 6 hours and 30 minutes, which is the lowest out of the last 3 weeks, which is unfortunate. I think my longest sleep was 7 hours, and that was last night. But then I realized that included 35 minutes of me, of that 7 hours, about an hour of it while I was watching a movie, which I wasn't actually asleep. So my average is probably closer to like 6:20 or 6:15, so not great. But this week I'll have to work on that. My goal, similar to last week, was to get 7 hours average for the week. So that's the goal for this week in terms of sleep, and I think I'll be able to get there. I just need to actually follow my plan to go to bed, which I know I have. But I guess I don't know if anyone else gets this. I'm sure other people get it as well because I've spoken to people. But they, I get into bed at 10:30, which is great. That's get in bed 10:30, wake up at 6. That's 7.5 hours, perfect. Man, let's say you take 15 minutes to fall asleep, 7 hours and 15 minutes. But this week I got into bed at 10:30, can't fall asleep until like 11:30, and then I'm in my head that I can't fall asleep and have to get up at 6 a.m. and then there goes my whole night routine, and I'm only get 6 hours, 6.5 hours. So that was a little bit frustrating this week, but hopefully this upcoming week, it can go better. Similar to last week, let's look at some insights from Garmin. Average heart rate for the week, resting heart rate was 45. So freaking we're going lower. We went from 48 in week 1, 46 in week 2, 45 in week 3. Let's see if week 4 I can get a solid, 43, maybe 43, I reckon if I can get to the 30s by the end of this program, that'll be sick. Because, that's when the real pros are at, I think. So, average high was 151, which shows I'm training in a good zone, training in that high 140s for my runs. Intervals obviously cranks that up because in intervals I probably hit around 170s. So seeing that I'm running in that lower zone, I could probably get it a little bit lower. Probably should get a little bit lower to like 142, but it's already improving. The previous weeks it was 159, 156, and this week 151. So positive trends, trending in the right direction, which is all we can really ask for. That's the best way to measure our progress, really. Instead of looking at a picture, look at the trend. Training load is 759. Again, I still have no idea what this means, but it says optimal, which your acute load is in the optimal range to maintain or improve your fitness, which is great. That means my body is recovering right, according to Garmin, and I am able to maintain the program that I am following right now. And so looks like we're heading in the right direction here. General thoughts for the weeks. Positives. Hitting a half marathon distance at my easy pace. Like I said, my average heart rate was 148, so I'm really happy with that. I had a little bit of pain in my left foot, which I'm not sure what caused that because I haven't had that yet this prep, but I've had a similar pain last time I did the Dallas Marathon where I just need to roll my feet out and maybe give it a little bit of ice. But because it came around mile 8 or 9, stayed for about a mile or so, and then it went away. So I think it's just maybe a little bit of inflammation. Maybe I need to look at my running form a little bit more and just really focusing on maintaining that well while I'm running. But that's the only real scare I had. Otherwise, legs felt good. A little bit tight after the long run, but it's kind of expected. It's kind of gone away after I stretched a little bit. And then, like I mentioned, the other positive for the week was hitting the interval pace a little bit easier, a little less struggle with hitting that pace. And so really positive to see that. And I think if I carry on like this, hitting that tempo pace in a few weeks won't be an issue. and the tempo pace is actually, obviously it's a little bit slower than the interval pace, but still decently quicker than my easy pace has been so far. So a little bit less scared of that now. Negatives or things to work on, I want to say, is like I mentioned, rolling out my feet and making sure they're well taken care of. Because I mean, if you run a lot and you run 6 days a week, and honestly, if you do any kind of sport for 6 days a week where it involves this kind of like running activity, you probably should try and roll your feet out. It makes a big difference. And honestly, it feels really good. You have a lot of nerve endings down there, so just relaxing them, and everyone knows how good a foot massage feels. So, you got to take care of your dogs. Otherwise, it's going to be an issue. But I'm sure they'll get used to this. It's only week 3 right now, so maybe they're still taking time to get used to the increased load, but I'm going to roll them out, maybe get some ice packs on them and just give them that extra recovery that they need. Again, week 4, my sleep schedule, I need to work on that. Average of 7 hours, that's the goal, and I'm going to get there. And then this week I need to get in the steam room quicker. Like I mentioned, get in the steam room more. Like I mentioned, work was very busy, so I wasn't able to spend as much time in the steam room this week, but this upcoming week, I plan on spending more time in the steam room and hopefully at least like average 10 minutes a day. Just break it up day by day and just get 10 minutes in there. Just some extra circulation and blood flow, which is just useful for your muscles when you're doing a lot of sport. And then let's look ahead at week 3. So week 3, similar to week 2, we got a 3-mile easy run on Monday. Tuesday is a 46-mile easy run, so if I wake up in time, I'll hit 6. If not, I might have to do 5.5 again. Wednesday is 7 to 8 miles of intervals, which is made up of 2 400s, 1 800, 1,200 meters, 1 800 and 2 400. So it's like a pyramid build, basically. And then 2 miles warm up and cool down either side of that. So that 1,200 meters is going to be tough. It's going to be scary, but similar to the 800. Last week I was more scared of the 800, but this week I'm more confident that I'll be able to hit that 1,200 just because I've seen now after 3 weeks of training that my body is able to handle it and adapt as necessary. Thursday, 3 miles easy run, 0 to 3 miles, but we're going to hit 3 miles anyway. Just shake out the legs, and then we'll hit that leg day again. Friday, 46 miles of hills. Not sure where I'm going to find hills in London, so I might just do 6 miles. Yeah, it's just one of those things, unfortunately. Saturday, rest day, which means knee recovery and jiu-jitsu. And Sunday would be a 10-mile easy run, which is great. So it's less than 13 miles, which I did today, so that 10 miles, not worried about it. If I do the recovery work that I'm supposed to do throughout the week, I'll be able to hit that run easy peasy, no issues at all. But yeah, that's everything for what I had for this week. Let's look at a general fun fact to end off this episode of recap. Man, let's see. The general fun fact of Vienna. It is home to the oldest zoo that is still in operation. The zoo in Vienna was built in 1752. So before America, which is honestly, even in South Africa or in America, you come to Europe and you realize how old some of these places are. Like in England, you'll get churches that are built in like 13, 14 something, and just seeing that is crazy. So there you go. Vienna's home to the world's oldest zoo of 1752. What is that, 272 years? Something like that? Yeah. Crazy. So there you go, fun fact. As always, let me know if you learned something out of the episode. Let me know what I can improve on in the episode. And I'll put a link in the show notes. I created just a summary of the nutrition that I'm following and the supplementation and some example meals for the marathon. And hopefully that helps you with maybe if you want to just get some extra tips in terms of training and eating, and that can maybe help you get started. Obviously, doing your own research is probably the easiest way to learn the most, but this is an easy, low entry way into seeing just a summary of nutrition, supplementation, and some meal examples in terms of what you can eat or look to eat when training for something. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, enjoy the week. Push through your challenges this week, and just have a good week. Kill it. All right, guys. See ya.